Start us off in the beginning, your upbringing, your spiritual roots. How was it?
Well, I went to church growing up as a little girl, and like many of us have. We're a Christian nation, right? Lutheran, and my mom was a Catholic, but she converted from my father. My father was in the military, he was in the Air Force, and he got kicked out because he was drinking too much. And so when he finally got sober, my mom confronted him and said, I want you to be sober. And because of that, my father had a lot of issues that he never dealt with, and he didn't want to go to church with us. He only went on holidays. He's like, my father, please, I don't want him to be part of my life at all. And I used to secretly wish I was adopted.
And you were sexually abused at a young age.
And yes, I was sexually abused and exposed to pornography. 8 and 9 years old from, in fact, a neighbor's house, and it was a girl, believe it or not a boy, which is kind of a different twist to things. And it does happen to some of us. And so I was introduced to molestation at a very young age, and was very confused because this is the other thing that I didn't share before, is that I don't share this often because it is a little bit shocking, but the abuse was going on, and I
was into your teen years.
So of course I'm growing up, I'm in church every Sunday, but Sunday school, didn't really understand it, and I even got confirmed with a class of all boys, and one of the boys in the class had a crush on me. He was grabbing me underneath the table, and so my view of church was like, you can have it, okay? Don't want it, don't unworthy. We feel small. We try to have this facade on the outside that success and things and prestige and fame is going to fill that void in us. A lot of us don't like to admit this. Just keep that real. And I chased it. I saw the mirage in the desert and I chased it, not knowing every single phrase. Hold on. Hey, can I put your glasses on? Those are Gucci, aren't they? The only time I've ever seen those is in an ad on television. So I'm just completely enamored by these men, and my girlfriend that was with me, she starts dating one of the guys. He actually gives her this huge diamond, and I was like, that's fake, go get it checked. There's no way that's real. And she proceeded to go to the jeweler and get it checked. It was real. And I told her, listen, if it doesn't work out, just get that ring. Listen, I'm a fan of my own girl, and I say diamonds are a girl's best friend. So, get the ring, girl. And she actually liked the guy. Was he a pimp? She didn't know, I didn't know. And they claimed that they were businessmen, astute, wealthy businessmen, had a car business, had a real estate, many abortions, and I'm not proud, and I do not brag, but I had a lot of fear having a child because I was pregnant by my ex-dad. I did not want to bring a baby into this world, into the sex trafficking world. And it was a very selfish decision at the same time because I didn't think I could escape him and raise my child. And I always knew that if I did have my babies with him, that he would hunt me down.
Cancer as well.
I did. I came down with Hodgkin's lymphoma after I left my first pimp, and I got with another man who was just as abusive. And we tend to just repeat our behaviors because we think we can fix everyone, and we think for some reason that if we change, the way we treat the other people, that they're gonna change for us miraculously or magically. But it never happened. And cancer came into my life. I had post-traumatic stress disorder severely, and I had Hodgkin's lymphoma. I lost all my hair. For 2 years I battled cancer, radiation therapy, chemotherapy. I was working as a full-time call girl, which is a prostitute.
Drugs came into the picture eventually for you.
Because of the cancer, I started doing pills because my cancer doctor gave me painkillers, and I was against pills my whole life. Never done drugs before, and so the first Lortab that I ever took, I remember taking that, and I was like about half an hour into it, I was like, whoa, what is this? I feel like 100% brand new. Felt like I was 18 again, and at this point I was 26.
Tell us about the day you found out.
Well, the day that I finally came to Christ, it was way further down the line. It was 16 years after I first started working as a prostitute. I quit after the first 10 or 11 years, I started doing drugs really heavy, and I met this guy, and he rescued me out of the industry. But he was a Buddhist, he was Japanese, and I loved him, and he rescued me out. But I didn't have Christ, and I worship the corporate world now. I learned a new trade with working in the corporate America with cars, and I started to collect the things that I had lost with my pen. All the money that I had taken from it, all the houses, all the cars, and all the jewelry was gone, and so I started new. But we had a house on the golf course, and we had beautiful cars in our garage. We had a flourishing business, and One day, 3 years into it, it went totally dead. We made a bad business deal with someone, and we lost everything almost overnight. And we lost our house, we lost our cars. I sold my Lexus for drugs to get high. I started doing cocaine so heavy at this point, started going back down the strip, because we always return to the vomit, okay? When we figure out it doesn't work, we go back to what we know. And I didn't even realize that God had a plan. And I didn't know that God loved me. And I went back down to that strip, and I started turning tricks again. I started making money from my drug habit, and I started to smoke cocaine at this point. I started rocking it out myself. I used to laugh at crack addicts. I used to think that they were the lowest of the low. Oh, come on, you toothless crack addict. Haha, look at you, looking for the rocks on the floor. But let me tell you something. I was on that floor looking for those rocks because I just wanted the pain to go away. I wanted my life to erase. I wanted to start new, and I didn't know any way how. I hated my father. I hated my parents and what they had done to me. I didn't want to, do anything right because I felt so wrong inside. You cannot make right choices when you feel so bad about yourself. See, Christ was my key, and I didn't know I was locked up in a cage. And those bars were invisible to everyone else, but to me, I could see them, and there was no way out. But my only way I could fly was to get high. I could kind of sneak through the bars. I was still there, but my body, my soul could leave for a little while. And so that night, I just thought, I just want to erase it all. I just want to get so high that I don't even know I'm in this cage anymore, that I'm free, that I'm flying, that I'm just away from this pain. And I took that hit, and I felt like I had a heart attack. And I saw myself in this coffin. It was so dark. It was like this terrible funeral of my life passing before my eyes. And my parents that really didn't understand or even know what I was doing, Pastor Shane, they did not know about my lifestyle. They were at my coffin, and my mom's just crying. And my dad's like wiping his tears and blowing his nose, and she was just a prostitute, and we didn't know. Had we known, we might have helped her. And I just instinctively started saying, Jesus. Jesus. The name above every name. And in my spirit, I bowed to him and said, Lord, forgive me for everything I've done. I don't know if you're real, but right now, I need you. Come to me and save me. I don't want to die. I instinctively knew I was dying. I knew for sure that if I did die, that was my funeral. And I didn't know if I was going to heaven or not. And so that moment, I truly believe he just went whoosh, and he came down, and he held me in his arms. And as I went to the hospital, I was holding on to the EMT's hand, and I was cranking on her hand so hard that her hand's almost bleeding with my nails. And the doctor came to me in the hospital and said, you did so many drugs, I don't even understand how you're here right now, but lady, I do know one thing, God must be with you. And I knew that Jesus knew my prayer, I knew it. And changed me.
You grew in your faith.
I sure did.
Read your Bible.
I did, and I noticed in my Bible that Jesus hung out with women like me.